Welcome back. So today we're going to do a comparison between the Orb Producer Suite Free and Captain Chords Epic. They are both epic plugins indeed. I have been using Captain Epic for a number of years, even when it was called Captain Chords, not Captain Epic. And I use a scaler a lot as well. I've got example videos here if you want to see me making songs with those plugins. Anyway, let's continue to what is the difference between the two plugins. Now, basically, the way I'm going to produce this and show you is to start with Orb, because that's the one I've been using most recently. I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, and then I'll move to Captain Epic. Now, the thing about Orb, which I find quite interesting, is you actually have to purchase Orb and you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you purchase it and you don't like it, you've got 30 days to return it and they will return your money. But there's no trial version of Orb. I found that a little bit irritating because I really wanted to try it out first. But I am actually trying it with the full version, and I have a couple more weeks to decide whether I want to continue it with it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that Orb does not need internet connection in order for it to work, whereas Captain Epic does. That might be important to some people. It isn't for me because I'm always switched on, but you never know. So let's go with Orb first. I'm just going to type in Orb, and for anyone familiar with Orb Captain Epic, you can see that it's made up of different plugins, and it is similar to Captain Epic in that it has a chords-based melody and arpeggiator plugin, and it also is similar in that you need chords. Let's bring a chords plugin here. You need the chords plugin for the rest of it to work. Kind of everything else follows what's in the chords piece. Both of the tools are actually artificial intelligence, but Orb is a little bit more artificial intelligence than Captain Epic. Captain Epic has a lot more control, and in fact you could use Captain Epic without using artificial intelligence, and I'll show you that in a moment. So this is what you start with, and let's just listen to that now. And what happens now is you can go in and click on the Orb button, and that gives you different chords as well as different ways that the chords are played. So let's listen to it now. And I'm going to keep pressing this button a few times to show you the difference that it can make. So it's changed everything. It's randomized chords, randomized rhythms, notes, velocities. So just like Captain Epic, you can drag the MIDI, if you like it, to the DAW. Some of these don't sound too bad. Now, if you want to see me make a full song using Orb, then click this link up here, because I was actually able to make a pretty decent song using Orb. Now, the other thing is, in one respect, it's artificial intelligence, but the thing that makes Orb so good is you have boundaries. You've got controls of that artificial intelligence. So for example, if you want to change how the notes are structured, you can change it to be every 8th note. Let's play that. If I just want to change the chords, I just click on this little button here. Let's do it again. I can make them all 7th notes. I haven't been able to work out how just to make one of them 7th notes, but I'm sure there's a way. And you can just remove all the 7th notes there. And once again, I think the MIDI is really useful. You can just drag that to the DAW. It's actually a pretty simple little production machine in terms of generating interesting MIDI ideas. Now, if you think that's too complex, you can just go in and reduce the complexity, and it will just do that. And we'll just reduce it a bit more. You can reduce the density. Density means the amount of notes per bar. Complexity means the amount of rhythm complexity. Let's just reduce that further. And you can increase the bar length. Let's just increase that to 2. Let's listen to what it sounds like now. So we definitely reduce the complexity and the density there. We can increase the octave. That's decreasing it, isn't it? Increase it there. Silence is really interesting because that adds silence to the sections between the chords. And opposite backwards silence. So it's in front of the chords it adds silence. Polyphony, that's just how many notes you have in the chord. If you only want 2 notes in each chord, you can use that. Now you notice that the sound that's been playing here is up here. It's a preset called Future Retro. If you click on it, you can select other sounds. You've got all these options here. You've got plucked sounds. Let's go to plucked. Voice, whatever that is. Let's try that out. So anyway, you have all these different sound preset options, and if you really want, you can go into the synth, and it's a wavetable synth, so you can choose different wavetable options here. So we want to choose, for example, FM synths. Let's listen and play at the same time. So anyway, it's really good to know that you get this level of control over the sounds that come with Orb. However, I would say compared to Captain Epic, the sound engine on this is relatively weak at this moment in time of the development of this application. It could get better, but yeah, for me, it's not that incredible. You can change the velocities here by clicking the velocity button. Let's just do that quickly. You can see the velocities here highlighted. And you can randomize all. You can randomize the top section only by unclicking this, or the bottom section. That's similar with the notes. You can randomize just the top section, or in this case, I'll do the bottom section. I can also go ahead and add more chords. So now there's, instead of 4 chords, there's 5. So let's listen to that. And I can remove some of these chords. So I've only got 3. Yeah, so the sound isn't that good. And what I can do is I can create, say, 4 chords here, and then I can get them to repeat 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and then I can either duplicate that, and so I've got that coming up here, but I might want to change maybe one of the chords, or let's just change the chords here. Randomize the chords, add the notes, and so this will play first and this will play afterwards. So if you really spend a lot of time with this, you could probably construct a whole sort of MIDI sort of section of chords going together. Now, once you've got your chords in, then you'll bring in a bass or a melody or an arpeggio, and that will follow the chords. So as you can see here, already it really knows that it's got 3 chords. So let's just play that. And then just like the previous chords application, you can go in and then start messing with some of this. So You can increase the complexity, the density, and the bar length, and we can just listen to that. You can change the bass sounds. And you can change the synth sounds. And now we can bring in an arpeggio. Ah, that's better. So now let's go into the arpeggio section and play that. Increase octave. Now let's listen to all of it together. And finally, let's bring in Orb Melody. Let's see what comes out of the bat. So I feel like I just created an epic soundtrack without even trying. And it doesn't actually sound too bad, to be honest. With a bit of mixing, you can really take that to another level. So what do I think? I actually think Orb Melody is the strongest part of this. I'm not sure, but the melodies sound really sweet and smooth. And I actually think they could be used in a song if you're looking to create a top-line vocal melody. So I think that's a really useful use case for using Orb Melody, and actually it's a real big positive for this application. Now, what do I think overall in comparison to Captain Epic? I will tell you at the end of this video, because we're about to review Captain Epic. The one thing that is really clear if you have a look is that there is no beat option. So Orb Composer did have like a beat option, but this doesn't have anything like that at all. So you need your own beats and you need to come up with those, not artificially. So let's move now to the Captain Epic review. Now, earlier I said that Captain Chords Epic isn't really artificial intelligence, but actually it is, but I don't use it as artificial intelligence because what it has got, which is a very easy and intuitive way to create your own chords and then mess with those chords. And I think it's much easier to do that in Captain Chords Epic than it is to do it in Orb. And I'm going to explain to you how I would make a song with Captain Chords Epic. However, I have got a couple of videos already, and you may want to have a look at those videos to see how a fully completed song looks like coming out of Captain Epic. Now, straight away, you can see a really clean, easy to use interface. It looks shiny and polished. You've got the key, you've got chord progressions, and you've got rhythm. Okay, so similar structure to Orb. You can change the key, you can change the scale, very easy to do, and you can change the chord progressions. But what I like to do with it is to select a chord straight away, and I've got a chord there, and I can change that to E minor 7th, or you can change that to A minor 7th, 9th, whatever I want. So this is almost like a songwriting tool, whereas with Orb, I found that much harder to do. And then on the second, I could just add another chord here, but I can just change that into C major, or here we go, sorry, C minor chord. And then we can bring in here a E major chord, and here we can bring in a G minor chord. And here we have 4 chords that I have written. I've obviously done it very fast. I've written a song with 4 chords in 2 seconds. And here we go. We're going to press play just to see what it sounds like. And if you don't like the chord, you can just click on that and change the chord. Let's bring that back to C minor. And that's pretty much it. And yeah, you can do a bunch of other things. So if you click on rhythm, so we can say select an electronic rhythm. Here we go. So I've chosen Iceland rhythm. Let's take another listen. Now let's just go and make it a little bit more complex. So you can just see how easy it is just to make things sound kind of the way you want them to sound. So anyway, that is the basics of it. And then you can go in and select your sounds. Now, I think the sounds on Captain Epic are way better than the sounds on Orb. So we'll just choose, for example, a basic organ sound. Now, if you choose one that has this little symbol next to it, that's Phaseplant sounds. Let's go and do that. Phaseplant, you can sound design. You can change some of the sound. So let's listen to some of the sound design possibilities here. I actually love that filter. I think that filter sounds superb. So I'm always thinking about buying Phaseplant just because the filter sounds ridiculously good. So the only thing I'll say that is a negative against the sound design feature is you can't automate that filter. You can't automate any of these. And if you can, please let me know in your comments because I have no idea how to do it as of today. So then, yeah, so you've got these nice sounds, obviously change the volume, and you can actually go in and select a VST plugin if you want, which I'm not going to do right now. So once you've done your Captain Epic chords, then you can actually bring in something called Captain Deep, which is the bass. And straight away, that bass is going to follow the Captain chords. So let's just listen to it all. Let's go and change some of the sounds here. So by the way, if I think those sounds sound like really epic and awesome, you can actually just go in and it renders that bass for you. And there you go, you have a bass. You got the bass there just like in 2 seconds. And so similar with the chords themselves. So if that's all you want to do, you just want to generate a little bit of audio in certain chords, this is really easy to do in Captain Epic. And you might think, well, I need a little bit of bass on this, but it needs to have these chords or these notes. Then it's just pretty straightforward to do. So let's go into the rhythm section. We'll just go funky house. Let's change the sound a bit. There you go. And the other things it's got is something similar to Captain Orb's is the Melody Epic, which I'm going to just drag in as well. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this either, but just to let you know that it has melody ideas that can follow. and a bunch of features here in terms of changing the types of melody options that you have. Once again, you can export that audio from Captain Melody. And it sounds really good. The synths on it are fantastic. And then lastly, the other thing that Orb Producer doesn't have is beat, Captain Beat. So we'll just bring that in. And this is the only part of the plugin I don't use a lot, but I know that if you work on it, you can get some amazing sounds with it. I just don't use it. It would be so good if we could automate that filter, but we can't. Okay, so that's it. There is also this other plugin called Captain Play Epic, but that's more about playing the instrument yourself, which is what I mean about it's not really a completely artificial intelligence environment, whereas Orb mostly is. And I think it is just in terms of options, Captain Chords Epic, Captain Beat Epic, all of the plugins that come with it just give you just a lot more options. However, in saying that, if you go and look at my video on how I produced a song using Orb, it is very apparent that it's actually really easy to get some excellent ideas and create an excellent track. I'm not saying my tracks are excellent, but I did create a pretty good track using Orb Producer. If I had money to buy two, I would buy Captain Epic, but I would still seriously look at Orb Producer because it is an application that gives you a lot more creative possibilities. And it is a simpler application. For some people, that's a really useful thing because, for example, Captain Chord Epic does require a bit of a learning curve. Now, the previous version of Captain Epic was a bit harder to use. This is getting easier and easier in every update, but there's a lot to it. It's almost a full production suite, to be honest. And I think that's where this is going. Probably you won't need Ableton anymore in the future. You could just use Captain Epic. So anyway, that's enough for me. What do you guys think of these types of applications? Do you like one over the other? Have you been considering buying one or the other? Let me know in the comments because I'll be really interested in hearing what you think. So thank you. And until next time, bye.